And I am a landlord, but not in Victoria, thank God. And this is exactly what landlords are saying. I mean, they're saying, you know, this is one landlord who's quoted in the Herald Sun. I reckon a mass exodus by landlords is coming from the rental market. They are making a serious rental problem even worse. The timing is appalling. And this is the problem, is there's been this argument from the Greens in particular, and obviously this is a Labor government, but the Greens argue we've got to have rental caps and all this sort of stuff because, you know, all the evil landlords. The vast majority of the vast majority of landlords in this country are mum and dad investors. They have fewer than 3 properties, and they also own the majority of rental properties within the country. So if you do things around the edges to say, OK, we don't want these evil people owning rental properties, they either have to cop the increased cost, which they don't. As Joe said, it goes on to the renter, which is the last thing the renters need right now. Or, as you said, they sell it. Now, when you sell a property right now, the property is worth a fair bit of money. That's the market we're living in, which means that a lot of people who are currently renting, let's say the person who is currently living in that rental property, probably doesn't have enough money to stump up a deposit to buy it. So who do you think comes in and buys that 1-bedroom unit in the city that this person bought as an investment? Another investor. Except that investor has lots of money because they can cop the increase in the cost of running the thing. So what you do is concentrate the number of landlords down from your average mum and dad investor to big investors. So what happens is the communists actually end up supporting big business because the only person who will be able to be a landlord in this country is someone who has shed loads of money. And funnily enough, many of them profess to be close enough to communists because they all vote for the Greens.
Well, plenty of Greens MPs own multiple investment properties. This is always enjoyable to reveal. But yeah, perhaps so. But more to the point, what people do not understand, what people who believe in a command economy simply do not understand, is that the economy doesn't do what you tell it to. You can't just order the economy to do something and it'll do it. And this is a perfect example. Rental caps are another example. You can't put a gun to someone's head and say, right, be an investment property owner. Because people will look at all these. If you want more of something, you make it more attractive for people to invest in it, not less attractive. So you make it easier for people to get into the investment property market and easier for them to rent it out. And that will create more people investing in the property market, whether they're big or small investors, and it will create more investment properties. If you make it harder and put things like rental caps, rental freezes, forcing people to put in capital works to make it more climate friendly, people will say, you know what? I'm just going to put my money out as well. And it might not even be another investment property owner coming in. It might be another homeowner, in which case that house gets taken over the market. And the people who would otherwise invest in property, which would provide more properties to the rental market, will say, well, I'm just going to invest in something else. AMP, CBA, News Corp, my new podcast, The Real Story with Joe Hildebrand. Whatever you want.
Shameless. Shameless. I love it.
But how is it that average Joes, literally, know this
Which was the
stuff?
name of my new memoir, by the way.
It's so obvious, right? And yet, our own government, who's running the place, just seems hell-bent on ruining the place. I mean, at such a time as this, you honestly think that the best state of play is to bankrupt landlords? Golf clap for you, government. You've simply got to be kidding me.
This is what the left does when they look at these things. So they'll look at things and they will look at the stats and they'll look at all these investment property owners and say, all right, well, they've got all these people here, and if we just make them do this with a stroke of a pen, we'll deliver all this pile of money over here, and then we'll make a rule saying that they can't pass that on.
It's their job to see the domino effect before it happens. And in this case, it's not that sophisticated.
But they don't understand human behaviour. They don't understand or respect individual behaviour and how those kind of, what Paul Keating once famously called, animal forces influence the market. But the bottom line is, if you own a car in Victoria, you're screwed. And if you own a house in Victoria, you're screwed.
It was just a few months ago that we were talking about that patch in Victoria, which had decided that every rooftop now had to be white.
I think that was
for the climate.
And there was one out of South Australia as well where they've mandated you can't have dark roofs. And
idiocy.
That's not to mention the land tax situation in Victoria at the moment as well, which is just out of control. I know people who have property there, and the money they're asking for has gone through the roof.
And racist too.
And everything's
honestly,
racist. Everything's racist. And if I were a renter in Victoria and my landlord was told that they had to put a 4-star shower head in my rental property, I'd be really peeved, because 4-star shower head is code for one of those things with, you know, the low flow meter in it. So it literally just trickles down. I don't want that. I want a shower head that actually works.